folks. Welcome into Snow The Goalie, the only Flyers podcast, the People's Podcast, Players Podcast, Prognosticators Podcast, Pedialyte Podcast. Oh, we're doing this podcast. I'm Russ Joy. Find me on Twitter, @JoyOnBroad. Joined as always by this guy over here, Anthony SanFilippo. On Twitter, @AntSanPhilly. Bundy joining us from the great beyond. We shot him a text about doing the show, and Bundy's got a lot of stuff going on. All good stuff, but he's not with us today. He'll be back with us soon. Intern Andrew. I don't know. I'm guessing Intern Andrew's probably crying happy tears seeing the Penn State-Michigan State game getting announced for January out at what they're calling Hockey Valley now. And, well, anyway, we're here. Hello. Anthony, how are you?
I'm doing great, Russ. I love when we throw these together kind of last minute. But we have things to talk about. So, camp is right around the corner. It's kind of Labor Day is kind of it's the end of summer unofficial end of summer for all those people who like to go to the shore and things like that, et cetera, et cetera. But it really is an interesting time in the world of hockey. Like, you look around sports, right? It's the start of the NFL season. It's the pennant push and playoffs. If you're into tennis, like U.S. Open is awesome right around now. Like, this is a really good time. Amadeo's killing you because you forgot the thumbnail.
I didn't forget it. It's because we went live and we didn't set it ahead of time. So Amadeo's going to have to calm himself down.
Yeah. And then, but the thing about hockey is like, there's going to be a lot of excitement because it's Rick Tockett's first camp and everything else, new coach, et cetera, et cetera.
A lot of et cetera out of you early in the show. What's going on with you? You okay?
Yeah, but there's things happening, and just got a little bit of intel. Nothing that's like earth shattering or anything like that, but things worth talking about. And so I was like, yeah, you know what?
Oh, wait, did the Flyers just sign Carter Hart? I'm just kidding.
No, but we're gonna be talking about that.
Yeah, well, he's on the thumbnail and he's also in the description of the episode. So if the people pay attention, they've probably seen it. So okay. We have goalie stuff to talk about.
They haven't seen the thumbnail, though.
Oh, that's a good point. Unless they hit refresh now. 4 of the 5 people on the thumbnail are wearing goalie masks. And then you were like, right as we're about to go live, which, by the way, plan wasn't to go live right now. But Anthony calls me and says, I have stuff to talk about. I said, all right, I was getting ready to do my show. Not that he cares, but I was getting ready to do my show. He's like, hold on, the Russ Joy show. There's Snow The Goalie. And then we have to send video guy Amadeo scurrying to do a thing. And then as I'm about to hit go live, Ant goes, hey, why don't we change the name of the episode? To what? Go ahead, tell people what you're going to call it.
No, I like it. Camp is coming, works just fine.
Wow, you're not going to tell the people. You're going to just kind of let them wonder. The rest of
Who is that masked man?
Now, that would have actually been a good, who is that masked man would have been good.
Say?
You said masked men.
Well, because you gotta
sing 50 Cent, and it's too much.
Yeah, you gotta brainstorm. You gotta say things out loud sometimes to get the better responses.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Where do you want to start? We could talk about goalies. We could talk about Carter Hart. We could talk about Tyson Foerster. Where do you guys want to start? And by the way, got all the people over here. We'll give them some shouts. Maybe we'll do I don't know. Sometimes we do the comments on the screen. We do it on my show. We don't do it on this one as much because you're afraid of the commenters. I don't know why. But Danny says hi. You got Joe Papel over on YouTube with a winter is coming. Allison's here. Brian Knowlton says, if this one is live. Oh, it's live. It's a pleasant surprise to a Friday of not feeling the best, Brian. We hope that you feel better soon. And maybe this very goofy show with 2 guys that are a little bit goofy themselves is going to help you. Plus, Anthony's, not weeping anymore now that the Phillies proved they can actually score runs. They can't do it at Citi Field, but they had a nice big explosion last night, which meant Anthony had a big explosion in his heart, and he's happy. He's full of love, and I dare even say,
I'm glad you said pride. In his heart.
Yeah, well, hey, it's a 146 show, Anthony, and it's not AM. All right, it's not on Cinemax in the early 2000s, Anthony. It's a perfectly acceptable Blue Nuit. Where's Bundy? All right. Well, we'll go through some comments here as we go. But I don't know. I'll let you decide where things are going. Eric, by the way, goes, is this channel still active? Sure is. There was somebody the other day who was like, one of those typical Twitter haters was like, oh, I saw the Silly Podcast is out of business now or something like that. Yeah. Baby, what's up? How you doing? Yeah. How you doing?
Yeah, and there's going to be some announcements about the Silly Podcast soon.
Jesus.
Yeah.
We'll see. I mean,
got some stuff coming.
See. we have stuff that we have to work out. We're still coming up with stuff with the team. We have some other stuff that's come onto our radar that we're very intrigued by. So we'll have some conversations here in the next week or so. Hopefully, we'll be able to announce some stuff soon. Got Rob South here. Bob Gold! Good to see you all.
Yeah, let's start. So let's start with, because I think the order of operations here would start with, let's start with goalies that are part of the team, right? Let's start there. It's no surprise to everyone that the two guys that are expected to be the goalies at the NHL level are Samuel Ersson and Dan Vladar. That's not a surprise. What wasn't certain, I think, I mean, obviously Fedotov would go down to Lehigh Valley, and then obviously we know that Carson Bjarnason is going to be there as well. But I guess the one thing that was kind of hanging over the team and hanging over, and a guy we've talked about way too much for who he is and his abilities, but Alexei Kolosov, it was kind of what's going to happen with him. And I was told that the team has been told by the agent that Kolosov is coming to camp and that he is now okay with going and playing in the AHL if necessary. So that's an interesting thing, right?
Kolosov is coming to town.
Now, he's not here yet. A lot of guys are already back. A lot of guys start showing up in late August. To kind of do like those unofficial, what they call captains practices, because the team's not allowed to officially have them, but they have them at Flyers Training Center anyway. And the executives are standing on the balcony up above, even though there's no coaches on the ice. So those things are happening. Kolosov is not here yet, but the Flyers are expecting him. That he was told that he would be there. Now, so what is that?
Making a list. Checking it twice. Gonna make Kevin Kurtz say things that aren't nice. Kolosov is coming to town.
So what does that mean? So now you have three guys really at the AHL level. And so I wanted to know, when I started poking around a little bit, I wanted to know, like, what do you do with that? Do you carry three goalies? Do you send somebody to the ECHL and play down there? Like, what do you do? And I was told this. I was told that, Bjarnason is the guy that he's their future. Like, he's a guy that they really want to develop and kind of bring along the right way. And so he's going to play in the AHL, but he's going to play, at a certain pace. They don't want to overburden him too much right up front. They don't want to just sit there and go, kid, go out there, play 60 games. That's not going to happen. So they got to really kind of manage him a little bit slower, right? To kind of get him up to the speed that they want to be at. So they're going to let this kind of play out in camp, right? So basically Fedotov and Kolosov are in essence battling for the number 3 goalie spot. And in the sense that if somebody gets hurt, if either Ersson or Vladar were to get hurt, one of those guys is going to have to come up and play in the NHL. They're not going to call up Bjarnason to play in the NHL, with as little experience as he has. So it's either going to be Fedotov or Kolosov, who serves as your third string goalie. All right. If in fact you get through camp, we're jumping ahead a little bit here, but let's say you get through camp and you have 5 goalies. What do you do? One of two things. They're either going to carry 3 goalies in the AHL, or they're going to trade somebody. And it would likely be either Fedotov or Kolosov that would get moved on. And again, the thought process being that somebody's, going to need teams always need goalies, right? And somebody may need somebody even more desperately if there's an injury or something that happens in preseason. So that's kind of what you're looking at right now. But that is the plan as of August 29th. Of course, that could change, but as of today, the plan is to have all 5 goalies, 3 of them in the AHL, 2 of them battling to be the number 3, and then we'll see where we're at that point.
So what you're telling me is the shit show of a goalie situation that the Flyers had last year at the NHL level and subsequently with the AHL is happening again. All right, good. Although no Cal Peterson, so that's always a positive. Okay.
Yeah.
So Bjarnason, I mean, I guess if you're a fan out there and you're looking for something positive to take away from what could once again be an absolutely absurd goalie situation, I guess the positive is Bjarnason is going to be treated as like the guy that they care the most about developing.
Correct.
He's the only, I mean, realistically, organizationally, he's the only one worth caring about the development for that's stateside. Now, obviously, Zavragan is a guy that people are going to be honed in on this year, playing another season in the KHL. We'll see if he's able to replicate his kind of production from a year ago. Do they then have a conversation next year about, like, all right, if he and his agent and the KHL team were to work out a buyout of his contract, like maybe they could have that conversation in a year. But I don't see a path to Zavragan ending up here. But
Right.
Bjarnason is interesting, and I would recommend to people, if you did not, for whatever reason, watch the video on YouTube or listen to it in the podcast feed, the interview that we did with Bjarnason, you should. That was one of the most fun interviews. I would almost venture to say that was the most fun interview that we did at Dev Camp, and a really refreshing dude to sit down with. So I would highly recommend people go check out the interview with Bjarnason. All of this, I guess, Ant, could be thrown into a blender, though, because conceptually, hypothetically, theoretically, the Flyers could still have interest in a former netminder of theirs who could potentially end up being eligible to play in the league this year, none other than Carter Hart. Now, we've talked about Carter Hart in the past. We've talked about the idea of would the Flyers actually have interest? Could there be a conflict internally? Will Comcast Corporate sign off on it? Does he even want to come back here? Would he even be interested in coming back here? And I've been told that you may or may not have some sort of an update on Carter Hart.
Well, so here's the thing. Let's talk league wide first before we talk about the Flyers. Okay. There has been no direction or guidance from the league to teams yet about anything changing as far as, you know, signing these guys or talking to their agents about potentially signing these guys to come back and play in the NHL. But I hear that it's getting there. And the expectation is that a decision will come down sometime soon, probably before camp starts, on these players. But what is happening, you know, what behind the scenes, the NHLPA and the league are negotiating, in essence, is what they're doing in what this is going to look like. And from what I've heard, the NHLPA would probably settle for, a shorter suspension. And when I mean shorter, you're probably talking something around, 30 to 40 games, somewhere in that range, with the caveat that the players can sign now and get into camp and work out with the teams and be able to do that. And I think that they want to do it with no financial penalty either. Like, the players would get paid their salary even though they're not playing. Yeah. And I think that the push for that is because these guys went without salary, without money for 2 years. I know you say boo-hoo, these guys were making a lot of money beforehand. I'm not crying over the fact that they weren't able to make money for 18 months while this thing happened. But I think that that's kind of where, the NHLPA kind of is. Whatever it ends up being, however it ends up getting settled between the league and the NHLPA, these players are going to, some of them at least, are going to be offered contracts. Yeah. Carter Hart is by far the most talented of the five guys. He's likely the only one who would get a contract that's beyond one season. Mm-hmm. I think that McLeod gets a 1-year deal. Maybe Dylan Dubé gets a deal. But Carter Hart is likely going to be offered a contract by multiple teams, I would say, in the 2 to 3 year range. I don't think it's going to be long term. Maybe somebody does. Maybe somebody gambles and says, we're going to take a real chance on this guy, and they give him more than that. I'd be surprised. I think a lot of people in the sport would be surprised if that were the case. But you're probably looking at a 2 to 3 year deal. And because so many teams value goaltending the way they do, there's going to be a lot of teams interested. I was told you might see up to a dozen teams trying to get Carter Hart. You can include the Flyers in that deal, in that group. But I wouldn't say the Flyers are a front runner or anything along those lines. I think it's a very level playing field because you got to think of it from this perspective. Again, Carter Hart is a guy who's gone without money, without a source of income. A couple of these guys played in Europe. He didn't, right? So he has not been making money for the last year and a half. And he's probably going to go where he's going to get the best deal.
Yeah.
And I'm not certain the Flyers are going to provide the best deal. So they're going to talk to him. I think that there's definite interest in potentially bringing him back. That would change everything we already discussed about the 5 goalie situation. Like it would
He's
make
not coming back here.
It would make everything a lot different. I don't know if that the Flyers are at the top of his list.
He's not coming back here.
Yeah.
I'll eat Bucky. I love Bucky, right? I'll eat Bucky. He's not coming back here. I'm not at the point where I think it's like a waste of a conversation, but like, I never thought he was that good. I never thought that he was a top 10 goalie in this league and it was trending that direction. He's been out of the league. By the time he plays, who knows if there's going to be a suspension they have to serve into like the calendar year 2026. It'll have been almost 2 years, at the very least a year and a half since he's played a competitive game. And I don't think he was like a bona fide stud when he was playing consistently and as a number one. Why would you come back here? Everybody here knows about the case. Everybody knows about the trial. There is no real added benefit to coming back here. It's not like it's a cup contending team that's one piece away. If you don't play exceptionally well from the start, you're automatically going to have the people who didn't want you back booing you, along with some of the people who might have given the team the latitude, the flexibility, whatever, to, have him come back. Like, to me, this is like one of the worst situations for him to even consider. I just don't. I don't see it. I don't see what the appeal is. If the Flyers are the only team interested in Carter Hart, and it's like, all right, I have to go play for those guys again, or I'm not in the league, fine. But, like, there are teams that are going to be interested. He's not going to break the bank. I can't envision a scenario where he's, like, going to come in and, earn number one netminder money. Does he take a shot on himself on a 1-year deal so that he can try to cash in bigger next year? Maybe. Is it a 2-year deal where the second year is a little bit higher with the cap going up? Maybe. I just don't see why he would. We've had this conversation. I don't see why he'd want to come back here. I don't get why the Flyers would want to do it. It doesn't make sense. Is he better right now than everybody they have in the organization? Maybe. Also, maybe not. Again, it's been about a year and a half since he's played a competitive game. I don't see it. Just don't get it. I know that there are people. I see Chris in the comments is telling us about, receiving certain things on buses when he was in high school, which is great. It has no relevance to any of this. Like, I don't care. I don't see the value. I don't understand the point. I don't see any upside here, Ant, to like bringing Carter Hart into this team. I just don't get it. I fundamentally think it's it's a dumb conversation to have. And I think the fact that the Flyers have even like potentially entertained it is genuinely one of the stupidest things. I'm not surprised you'd have a conversation about a player, but like for them to even be like, yeah, we'll give him a contract. Why? For what? What's the point? I'd love to have one of those people give me like a solid rationale. I don't get it. Fedotov missed, what was it, a season and a half when he had to go do the military service, and then he played a year in the KHL, and they came over here and we saw how he looked and how he didn't bounce back to his form that he had prior to having to go do military service. I don't know. Am I overrating the layoff of a year and a half, 2 years, Ant? Like, that to me is the biggest concern outside of the
How
clear
did
concern of the PR, side of this.
how did Sean Couturier look after missing nearly 2 years?
Not great.
I mean, I know his,
like physically very different situation, but
I know his was, he had back surgeries, right? But and had to come back from that. But look, guys have come back after time off. I mean, freaking Gabriel Landeskog came back in the playoffs for the Avalanche, right? Like, I mean, like guys can come back. It's not like it's impossible. Yeah. And maybe the Flyers are looking at it and saying, hey, we see how it goes. And look, if he comes back and he's not good, then it's not the end of the world to have it for 2 years. We can survive that, right? But
this thing from Joe is the right one, right? And we talked about this like weeks ago. He's an asset. The team really should have been pushing the league on the RFA eligibility that they would have had with him as their player when all of this went down. And they lost out on that. I think the Flyers should be able to get some kind of compensatory pick back. Like, if ultimately he doesn't come back here, that's the thing that they should push for. They'd be smart to push for it. Otherwise, I just don't get it. I don't know.
I'm with you mostly. I mean, I don't see the benefit because of the exact things that you said. Look, will he be better than what they have? No, probably. Even after a year and a half, he's probably better than what they have. Okay, I'm just saying.
Is a year and a half off Carter Hart significantly better than Sam Ersson? I'm not convinced. I'm not saying Sam Ersson's a great goalie. I don't think he is either.
I think so.
Do you think so?
I think he is. I think he's better than Ersson. I think he's better than Vladar. I mean, he's better than everything that they have. But how much better? And that's where I think they're missing the valuation of this, right? Like, he's better and would make the Flyers better this season, and they want to be better. That they want to make the playoffs. That they don't want to go through another season where they're irrelevant, right? Like, there's a lot of that motivational rationale coming into this. But is Carter Hart going to be significantly better than what you have? And unless he is, signing him to me doesn't make sense. But that's how I look at it, right? And not to mention the morality of it, right? I mean, I have a problem with that too. But
there's a big PR part of this that's just like I just don't think it's worth it. And like I see this kind of thing, like what's the upside? Oh, I don't know. You have a starting caliber goalie. Here's the thing. Let's all just can we all take a second? Can we have a moment? Everybody out there, can we just? The Flyers just
we're having a moment.
We're having a moment.
Should we have some nice music behind the moment?
I hate this. So the service that we used to do the live show has now added the ability. No, that's what I used to use for my show back in the day before I got like the fancy intro. Oh, you're putting one of those on? No. There's one. I think it's called like Walking Ducks or something like that. Do you want to pull that one up? Ant is like now obsessed. By the way, we might have to get like a takedown here from YouTube if we use somebody's music for too long. So thanks for that, Ant. They've like added the ability to do sound effects like train whistle. And Ant was playing with all these before we started the show. So I think it was this one. This one. This one's nice. Nah, I don't like that. Never mind. We're taking it down. Here's the problem that I have, okay? And it's really, really simple. And I kind of wish that the Flyers just had an offseason. They had an offseason where they had the ability to complete trades, make signings, right? Right. If they felt that they didn't have a starting caliber NHL goalie, they would have addressed it. Now, you could disagree and say that Sam Ersson isn't a good enough starting goalie. You could make an argument that Sam Ersson might be better as a backup and that Dan Vladar is certainly a backup and that it doesn't give the Flyers the best goalie tandem or one of the top 15 best goalie tandems, and maybe it's a bottom 10 still. But, like, they had an entire offseason to address the net, and whether they did or not is kind of, I guess, in everybody's opinion if they think that they addressed it adequately. But, like, if they really felt like they didn't have at least one guy they could lean on as a starter, they would have gotten a different dude to be the number one in net, and they didn't. And I don't think that it was, like, part of some giant, 4D chess move. oh, we didn't go spend more money on a goalie or give up assets in a trade because we knew Carter Hart was going to come home. I just don't see it. And by the way, I don't think they would have signed Dan Vladar if they were playing 4D chess and we're going to bring back Carter Hart. Why would you want to have yet another goalie under contract that you then have to move or send to the AHL, perhaps inhibit the growth, the development of Carson Bjarnason, who they want to put something behind, and they already have Fedotov and they already have Kolosov in the organization that they have to kind of juggle. I just don't see it. I don't get it. I don't know, man. I'm having a hard time.
I think that you're kind of on the outskirts of the whole situation being what it is. So I think you're really close. I think that they made all those, they made the Vladar move and have the situation set up as it is because they don't expect Carter Hart to come back. Doesn't mean they're not going to try, right? But I think that they wanted to put themselves in a position where he doesn't come back, he goes somewhere else, goes and plays in another city, that they're set to go for the season, and not like we're going to cross our fingers, hope he comes back here, and then if not, figure it out down the line. So I think that that's kind of the situation. What you're saying is almost like this is plan B, but at least plan B's doable. Whereas if we waited to come up with a plan B to see what happened with this whole situation, this mess of a situation, then, you might not have had something even close to what they have. So
Amy here has a good question over on YouTube as well. Does this make a weird situation for the other players, putting them in a very difficult situation when they're asked about it? Just doesn't seem worth it to me, regardless of my personal opinion.
Yes, it makes it difficult for everybody. I'll give you an example just from baseball really quick. And it's not even close to the same level of action by the player, but we all went into that Phillies clubhouse when Jose Alvarado was suspended for taking a performance-enhancing drug and talked to all these players, and they all had to give like uncomfortable answers about their teammate being suspended for 80 games for a performance-enhancing drug. How do you think these guys are going to feel about the media going in there and asking them questions about this guy coming back after this situation, right? I mean, to me, it's the same thing. It's same kind of awkwardness, even though the situations are completely different. It's an awkward spot to put those players in. Very uncomfortable.
Well, here's the other question too. I mean, if you want to go down that rabbit hole, like Odubel Herrera, like a different situation, right? But like players in that clubhouse had to answer questions about whether or not he belonged with the team. Now it's not the same. It's not the same thing. But it's also like one of those things where you look at it and you go, PR-wise, probably a bad decision to bring him back, have him around. You can have the argument about guilty, not guilty, innocent, the difference between all of those. Some people still can't seem to grasp all of it. It's fine. Between the situations, it's fine, I guess. We just have to accept that people don't understand that not guilty and innocent don't necessarily mean the same thing. It's very difficult for some people to get it. I get it, I guess, hypothetically. So it feels like the goaltending situation's in flux, Sam. There's the possibility that Carter Hart comes back. There's a possibility that he doesn't. If they don't make a move, and if this is the goalie situation, and you and I are talking with Bundy and intern Andrew from the set of the Press Row show for the home opener, who do we think is going to be ultimately in net? What do you think the first duo is going to look like at the AHL level, and will the Flyers have traded anyone away?
So I think Sam Ersson will be your opening night goalie. That's my pick for right now. I'm pretty confident that that's going to be the case, because even if you sign Carter Hart, there's no way he's going to be allowed to play day one.
Okay.
Like that's part of it, right? So I don't see that. So I think it's Sam Ersson is your starting goaltender. The AHL tandem, I'm still going to go Fedotov and Bjarnason as the tandem, but there is the possibility, as I was told, that they do carry three guys at the beginning of the year, and they may just hold on to Kolosov as that asset that for purposes of you could have an injury, and so it's nice to have the fifth goalie available. And B, if another team needs a goaltender, then you have somebody to move out. And even if you don't get a lot in return, maybe you improve that asset a little bit, right? So that's what I think it's going to look like. Yeah, I think Fedotov is the guy that stays, more so because I think it's easier to trade Kolosov because of his contract's easier to move than Fedotov's because of the money Fedotov's making, right? So, but I mean, you never know. Team looks at it's a 1-year deal. Depends on where they're at under the cap. There's a lot of things that can happen.
Yeah. All right. Well, then let's get to the other player that we wanted to update on, Tyson Foerster.
So Tyson Foerster, news came out. Was it 10 days ago or so, 2 weeks ago now at this point, that he's been recovering at a better rate than a lot of people thought. And that's great. That's positive news. He has been cleared to go back onto the ice. The infection is gone, and he's cleared to go back on the ice. That said, while the Flyers are knocking on wood and hopeful that he's good to go day one, they're not even 100%. They're not 100% sure of that. And the reason is because he obviously could not work out all summer, right? So his strength is not where it needs to be. So the Flyers are going to really treat him with kid gloves and make sure that he has the opportunity to get that strength back up to where it needs to be, so he doesn't put himself at risk. Really, that's really the concern. So they're gonna take it really slow with him. Their hope is that he can get back in time to start the season here and get going and be active in camp, maybe even playing preseason games. But there's no guarantee as of yet. That's kind of thing. But they are considering themselves very fortunate that Foerster is where he's at right now, because earlier this summer there was real concern that it was not going to be a good thing.
So we expect Foerster back
at some point. Yeah, but I don't know if it's as rosy as maybe the reports have made it out to be. It's not that he's still dealing with the infection. It's that he's nowhere near where he needs to be 2 weeks before training camp physically. Yeah. And so that's the most important thing, right? You have to be able to be at your peak condition to play games in the NHL, or else you're going to get hurt, right? That's the thing, right? And so it's a matter of getting him there. If he gets there, great, put him in the lineup. But he's got to get there, and it's not an easy thing to do in a truncated period of time. So, anyway.
So he's not dead. Foerster is alive, and there's a possibility that he plays in the not too distant future. I'm always going to be interested in this, Ant. Like, if he tore something in his bicep or tricep, right, it would have taken him out until the beginning of next year. It was a significant one. If it was a minor tear or some kind of damage to one of the muscles and you had to do a clean out, and that's what led to the infection, or infection came up from something like that, there is possibility, right? Like, you could have had structural damage, could have had an infection, and by virtue of having some kind of a tear, you wouldn't have been able to work out. Having this infection issue that needs to get cleaned up, you wouldn't be able to work out. Like, I don't know. I could understand how, like, the severity of an injury, at least on first blush, you think, all right, that's 5 months, that's 6 months. And then if structurally things are not as bad as you anticipated them to be, he could come back sooner. So, like, I know that people, like, we had talked about the fact that, like, there was a very good chance he was going to be out for the rest of 2025.
There was a real belief in June, from the team that that's what they were dealing with. Yeah, that he was not going to get back before January.
And it explains why the Flyers were interested in some free agents.
Yeah.
Like we talked about on the show about could the Flyers have been interested in like a Brock Besser who used to play for Tocchet in Vancouver. And that wasn't just like us throwing shit against the wall. Like there had been some like rumblings. Oh, maybe they would be interested in that guy. Well, you're not interested in a Brock Besser if you think that Tyson Foerster is going to be ready for training camp. So clearly the belief within the organization may have changed over time. And it's actually good news, right? Like in theory, it could be some of the best news that the team has gotten, you know? If he misses the beginning of camp or if he's not fully healthy or whatever and he needs to kind of ramp up, and like maybe he's not ready for the season opener. Okay. I mean, it's still significantly better than having him out until January.
Why do you think they were trying to sign Corey Perry?
Because Corey Perry would have been a really good replacement for the first half of the year. Then you could trade him at the deadline to another playoff team. Yeah.
That was exactly the reason they were going after Perry. For the exact description you just said. Yeah. Be a nice replacement for a half year. If he has a really good half year, he becomes a very good asset at the trade deadline that somebody will overpay for, and you get something out of it when Tyson Foerster comes back. That, there was no doubt that's what they were trying to do. Yeah. Didn't work out. They didn't end up signing him, but that was part of the plan.
Now, I don't think that this was necessarily tied to it, but like Peter Tom Willis over here on YouTube says punk-ass Shabanov talk was stupid. I don't think that the Shabanov thing had anything to do with Foerster. I really do think that was them looking to kind of upgrade the dynamic ability of their wings.
Yeah, I think that they were more disappointed when that fell through because at the time they were thinking, not only are we not getting Shabanov, but now we're not going to have Foerster for the first 4 months of the season. Like, I think that's why they were so upset about it in the moment, right? And they were like, we need to regroup and rethink what we're going to do here going forward. But then the Foerster news started to slowly get better over time. You know, we started to hear things in, mid-July. It was like, hey, this might not be as bad as we thought it was. And then it was like, well, there's still some infection in there, but they're cleaning it out. Let's see how it goes. And then it kept going and going. And then it just got to the point where, yeah, this is pretty good. Like, this is a pretty good prognosis considering where we thought he was in June.
I mean,
but there's still a ways to go, though.
Listen, there are people who are always going to get upset and are going to like try to dunk on the things that we say on this show as being wrong or inaccurate or whatever because they've got nothing better to do with their lives.
I don't care.
But I would simply just point to the fact that medical staffs are very often incorrect about things. Not saying just the Flyers medical staff. Like, we see this across the NHL and across sports in general, right? Misdiagnoses, things that are missed. You guys talked about it on Fighting Words. The Zach Wheeler situation with the blood clot in his shoulder. The Phillies doctors were checking him out. He had certain symptoms. They get down to Washington. He's got different symptoms, and their doctors find the blood clot. Like, these things happen, right? Doctors, trainers, medical staff, they are not 100% right 100% of the time.
Right.
And so, like, it should come as no surprise to people that medical updates change. Sometimes a guy like, I don't know, boy, if we're going to talk about the Philadelphia Flyers, right? Rasmus Ristolainen, remind me, he was like day to day, then he was week to week, and then he was shut down, right? Like 2 seasons, there have been issues where Risto's gotten hurt and he's out like week to week, and then he kind of goes away. There was a time not that long ago. What was the man's name, Anthony? Ryan Ellis, I believe, collected a nice big paycheck from the Flyers. Initially not thought to be a very serious injury. Guy hasn't played, right, in years. Shit happens, So maybe it's actually a good sign, Ant, that instead of it being, this guy pulled a small muscle, he'll be back in a few days, to he's out for a few weeks, to, he might not be alive anymore. Now it's, hey, this guy might have been out until January. Turns out maybe the initial damage or whatever the infection was, however the infection happened, the infection is like cleared and like now he's going to have to strength train and kind of get back into shape, but he might be ready early in the season. Well, that's good news. We might actually have a positive medical update, Anthony.
Yeah, for sure.
For once.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I also keep hearing, although I don't have any names, I wish I did. I just want to kind of throw this out there just so people can start speculating, talking, come up with some things on their own, but keep hearing that they might try and bring in somebody on a PTO before camp. I don't know if that's a big deal or not, but who knows? Who knows who's like I won't even want to begin to go off of the names that have not signed yet and say, oh yeah, that guy. Oh, that, because I've not been given
go ahead,
any.
give us a name.
No, I don't have any that have been given to me specifically, right? So that just something that they're thinking about in the moment. So you might see a player or two get an invite to camp that maybe is not currently on the roster.
Okay.
Those just for the
is Matt Niskanen still available?
Just for the sake of clarity on that, like
I love this, by the way. Yager.
Yeah, just for the sake of clarity on that, those don't usually pan out. Every once in a while, a guy on a PTO comes in and is a contributor. So I wouldn't put a lot of stock in it, but I think that there's a possibility that they could bring somebody in that regard.
Okay,
they're looking to bring somebody in that regard.
All right.
So
the only other thing that has captivated the minds of some is what happened on a podcast this past week. Dale Weiss flaming Claude Giroux and Jake Voracek and the Flyers. And as much fun as I'm sure we would have in relitigating that, we did actually have that conversation on Wednesday's episode of the Russ Joy Show. So people can go over on YouTube or in the podcast feed and find it. We did a blow-by-blow. It was like a 3-minute clip of a show that Weiss went on and bashed Giroux and Voracek and the Flyers and the culture and the issues that he had in Philadelphia. So if you're looking for that analysis, that's already available to you over on YouTube.
Yeah, you might be surprised to learn that I think it was a little bit overstated. That's all. Because in other words, too much of a finger point at the players and not enough of a finger point at the organization being a disaster. That's all.
I think that's unfair. I think it was a mess and a disaster. And I think Dale Weiss told the truth.
No, it wasn't. It was a mess and a disaster. I'm not trying to say it wasn't.
Wrong. Dale Weiss did nothing wrong.
I'm not saying it wasn't a disaster. See, that'll be clipped up, and then it'll be like, Ant thinks that they were great, that the previous regime was great. That will be clipped up, right? That's how it'll be clipped up. No, that's not what I'm saying at all. I think that they needed more. If he wants to blame problems with the culture of the team, while Claude Giroux and Jake Voracek should shoulder a portion of it, it's only a small portion in comparison to the mismanagement that there was from above. That's where I was thinking. Yeah, what I was thinking. So, or what I was saying.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. I'd encourage people to go check it out. I think Amadeo even clipped it up. You don't even have to watch the full episode. It's like sitting on the YouTube channel and in the podcast feed. You can go find it. Yeah. Anything else you wanted to get to today?
Nothing that I specifically wanted to get to. I know you wanted to kind of mention
there's a game that's going to make intern Andrew very excited. Yeah, we can throw to that really quickly. So for those who didn't notice this or didn't see it or honestly maybe didn't even care, there is going to be a massive hockey game, a college hockey game going on at Happy Valley between Penn State and Michigan State. And most notably, I guess, about it, Ant, is that this means we're going to actually see, under the lights at Penn State's football stadium, at Beaver Stadium, we're going to see Porter Martone's team, Michigan State, take on Gavin McKenna's team, Penn State. And so they did a big announcement about it. But Hockey Valley in Beaver Stadium, January 31st, 2026. Now, I don't know if I'm going to care that much, but I do think that the atmosphere is pretty cool, and you have a Big Ten rivalry, and so it's kind of hard to poo-poo this one, Anthony.
No, I'm not going
to. Are you excited?
I'm not going to poo-poo it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say the NHL missed the boat.
They did.
You're going to see what that environment is going to be like for a college hockey game, and it's going to be awesome. It's going to be fantastic up there. I don't know if anybody's ever been to a Penn State football game, but the whole tailgating atmosphere and everything else with the whiteout, and it's going to be pretty freaking cool up there for that game, and it's going to be awesome experience. The NHL could have done that with Flyers Penguins and would have had the same environment. The problem with the NHL is that they kept trying to put it on January 1st as the Winter Classic. And what they should have done is they should have done it as one of those special outdoor games later, once the college football season was over and there was no potential conflicts with Penn State, and do it then. And that's when it would have been good. And they should have done it when both teams were at least decent. Then both teams started to fall off and it didn't make sense to try it again. So maybe eventually they'll get there and it'll still sell out and it'll still be great. It'll still be good, but it won't be as special because Penn State, Michigan State is going to show you what makes it such a great environment to be up there.
It always felt like a huge missed opportunity to not do Flyers Penguins there. And especially like not saying like when the teams were great, because again, like let's be real about recent Flyers teams and even especially recent Penguins teams, there was a really good opportunity to do something there and kind of strike while the iron was hot. And this league screwed it up in a big way. And there is one other thing that we have to get to really quickly before we head out. It was a super chat sent by Mr. Fawcett.
Oh.
This is happy anniversary, Mr. and Mrs. Ant.
You're a little early, Andrew. A little early. It's still a few weeks away, September 21st. But thank you in advance. I'm sure we'll do another episode before then, at least one. But yeah, thank you. It's been a year.
It has been quite a year. It has been quite a year. So, well. Not a year yet, Ant. I mean, don't count your chickens before you hatch. You better be nice to Maria or
Yeah.
Maria might. A little back and forth, get the frying pan making the chicken cutlets and
Yeah.
And it would be justified in fairness.
So you know what I got her for her birthday just passed. You know what I got her for her
What's
birthday?
That?
You know what we're doing?
We're
gonna go. So in January, we're going to go out to Vegas, and it's when the Flyers are playing Vegas. So I'll be covering the game out there while we're out there. Yeah. I'm not doing the whole trip because I know they got to go to Utah and I think Arizona is part of that trip, but I'm going to do the game in Vegas, but she's a big Wizard of Oz fan.
Okay.
And I'm going to take her to see Wizard of Oz at Sphere.
Okay.
They play it in the Sphere. It's like a immersive experience out there.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
How about that?
Yeah.
Not bad.
So,
I'm going to Vegas in October.
Okay.
For work. So, will I get to the Sphere? Will I go see BattleBots again? These are real questions. This is what the people care about, right?
Yeah.
Let's see.
Allison knows all about it because Allison used to do some work out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Let me see. There's somebody that is a very long YouTube name. Chris Affon Crying Child. I don't know what that is. Says, do you think Carter Hart will join the Oilers? Thoughts? I don't give a flying fuck if Carter Hart joins the Edmonton Oilers. How's that for you?
If I had to, are you going to bomb yourself? Okay.
Actually, that was a Bundy bomb. Hold on.
Yeah. I don't. So
this is Dan Hilferty. Welcome to Snow the Goalie. You're in for a treat.
Are we done? Are we done?
No, you were doing the little sound drops before. We gotta. Go ahead.
Yeah. Anyway, I was going to say
wait,
that
there's a knock at the door. Do you hear that? Somebody's here.
Hi, here's Sean Couturier, captain of the Philadelphia Flyers, and you're listening to Snow the Goalie.
Oh man. I don't know if he goes to Edmonton for this reason.
They don't know what the fuck they're doing.
I lined that up. Come on, that's pretty good. That was pretty good.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Imagine being Carter Hart and having to play in Canada after all that. Like that's the thing. Like I can't get past that. Like that would I almost think it would be worse there than it would be here. Right?
Oh yeah.
Like the scrutiny that he would be under constant scrutiny.
But if he plays well, it all goes away. So, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I think he's better off going somewhere more low key. You know, with a team that's got a shot at that's gonna be like an up and coming team that just doesn't have the goalie yet. Like
goes out to Utah. Goes out and plays in Utah, and then somebody in the crowd who was unaware finds out, looks at their buddy next to them and says,
What happened there?
you know, who knows?
I see, and you're worried about me, and you're the one who's going off the rails. So, anyway.
Anything else you wanted to get to?
No, I
got
got
any questions.
No, I'm going to do a whole written story on this. So if anybody wants to see it, it'll be up a little bit later this afternoon on Pattison, and then I got to head down to the ballpark for Phillies Braves tonight.
I'm surprised that you didn't ask me like what I thought about Kyle Schwarber's 4-home run outburst. I thought that was going to happen at the
You know what? I'll tell you what. Like I've been, I went to so many baseball games in my life before I started covering the sport, and I watched even more on television. And I've got to see more cool events in baseball in the past 3 years than in the first 48 years of my life. I saw a no-hitter in the World Series. I saw a no-hitter in person last year or 2 years ago, Michael Lorenzen rather. A four-homer game. It's only happened 21 times in the history of baseball, right? And I was at one of them, and I got to see it last night. And Kyle Schwarber was one of only 3 players to ever have a chance to hit a fifth. Like 18 of the 21, the 4th home run was in their last at bat of the game. So only 3 of them had a chance at 5. So Kyle Schwarber was one of the 3. So yeah, I mean, it was a pretty cool thing to be there for an event like that.
I would agree with that. I still can't believe you didn't ask me what I thought.
You want me to add because you got another clip you want to play?
No, I don't.
Okay,
I'm done with the clip.
Russ, what did you think of Kyle Schwarber's 4-homer game?
Not answering your questions.
Great seeing everybody. Thanks for tuning in to Snow the Goalie, the Only Flyers podcast. We'll be back soon at some point here on YouTube, on Facebook, X. You can find Ant on Twitter at SanFilippo. I'm over there at Joy on Broad. You can find Bundy at Therien6. Intern Andrew over at Intern Andrew. And of course, you find the show wherever you get your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, Amazon Music, wherever you get your podcasts. You dropped a new episode of Fighting Words this morning. People can go check out your Phillies talk.
Yes.
Wherever they get their podcasts, as well as on YouTube, as well as on the Joy Media channel. And oh, by the way, as soon as we end here, we're gonna re-rack. We're gonna go from here and then over on the Russ Joy Show over on YouTube. I'll be going live there shortly.
Who's we, Kimasabi?
Me and the people, baby. We're gonna go live very soon over on the Russ Joy Show, over on the YouTube. So anybody who wants to go and join the insanity and the hilarity, we're gonna go live at like. What time is that? Well, we'll go live at 2:40. So anybody who wants to join over there, we got to talk about the Micah Parsons trade to Green Bay, how we want Jerry Jones to stay with us forever and always, amen. We'll talk a little bit about the Big Ten game, the Kyle Schwarber 4-home run performance. And did you know, Anthony, that while we were recording, the Eagles named 8 captains, not 1, not 2, not 3, 8 team captains.
Out of 53.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty high percentage, Anthony, but I guess if you're coming off of a Super Bowl win, what are you going to do? You know? So we'll talk about that as well. Ant, it's been lovely spending time with you. It's been lovely spending time with all the people out there. Talk to some of you in a little bit. And in the meantime, make sure you go subscribe to Snow the Goalie, the Only Flyers podcast. We'll talk to each and every one of you very, very soon.